So somebody asked me a very interesting question, asking, "Are there dangers in spirituality? What are the dangers? What are the dangers that we are likely to face in spirituality?" And I said, there are no real dangers in spirituality. There are dangers to spirituality, though, the sense that in the pursuit of trying to get to the truth, in the pursuit of trying to be out, be awake and wake up to spirituality, a lot of people make the mistake of falling into tradition, and I think that is where the danger is. When you fall into tradition, that is where the real danger is. But spirituality on its own has no danger. As a matter of fact, nobody has really exploited spirituality to its maximum that we can say, okay, the person went up to this place and realized that the danger there is. If it's spirituality, and if it's you awakening yourself up, your spirit consciousness up, and they are not real dangers. The only thing is when people fall into traditions, or when people follow after what others have followed after. You know what I'm saying? So because when you try to follow after what others have followed after, then you tend to make the mistakes that they made, because whatever it is that they went through, you are basically going to have to go through it, and whether they got it right or wrong, you wouldn't have the opportunity to know it. Since they went on that path, they feel this is the only way that works. But in spirituality, the diversity is so huge for anybody to stick to traditions and say, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. And I think that this question leads right into, or straight into, what I'm about to do. Aquaba. Yes, listen, don't get it twisted. I know the title goes a bit south, because when we talk about health, what has this really got to do with health? But the truth of the matter is, this has got everything to do with health, and what our reactions toward this particular subject. So I felt it's very necessary that I talk about this subject. Today, I mean, this question is actually coming from the Zoom community. One of our sisters asked me the question from the Zoom community, and I decided that, you know what, I think I should talk about it, because today I was going to introduce you to one of my doctors. I think a couple of my doctor friends today, and when I saw the question, I'm like, this probably is the right time to talk about this, because of the dimensions that we are evolving into and the awakening that is happening now. I feel when we have understanding to what this is really about, then it would help us on our journey deeper into the spiritual realm. So I decided to talk about it. But first and foremost, before I do, I want to give praise and thanks and gratitude and appreciation to the Creator, our Father who created and made all this possible. Also, I want to give gratitude to the powers that be, the elements, the water elements, the air elements, the earth element, the fire element. I also give gratitude to Esi Ajo Abne Awuku Yao Efi Amen. Now Efe Jahima Nanan Frama, I give gratitude, and also all the powers in your backgrounds that helps with every single activity that you go through. And I also give gratitude to our ancestors who make all things possible, and also keep teaching us into going deeper. Spirituality, nobody has really got to the max of spirituality. If not anything, we are not even in the middle of it. So I feel once we open up our channels, our ancestors are always willing and ready to teach us deep things about spirituality. And that is exactly what I'm going to talk about today. So talking about this cyclical event, our very bet and the bet of everything else that is on the face of this dimension is operating on this cyclical wheel, or this cycle that keeps evolving. Because even when you want to go back to the days of religion, you read from the Bible that says what, there are seed times and harvest times, and seed times should never pass. You understand? The seasons should never pass. So the seasons are basically the cycles of life, the repetition of life. It goes round and comes to happen at the same time. So there's not a single life force that is on the face of this earth that wasn't bet out through this cyclical event. So it's just as the feminine cycle and the human cycle are basically interconnected. You cannot pull one away from the other. You cannot delete one away from the other. One is surviving on the platform of the other. In this case, the human cycle is surviving on the platform of the feminine cycle. So when we talk about one of the do without in this life, then the feminine cycle is one of the do without in this life. You need to always remember that there is a bond, there's an everlasting bond that is between every single life force that is walking on the face of this earth and the planet Earth. There's a bond, an inseparable bond, and this bond is because everything that is living is being sustained by the earth, the planet Earth, or our mother Earth, or we say Asasia according to our spirituality. The fact that we walk on the face of this earth and we necessarily don't look like the earth or smell like the earth or anything like that. You and I are basically extract from this earth. You and I are basically literally dug out of this earth, because every single thing that goes into us, single thing that goes around us, every single thing that makes us who we are, that which is building us, is directly extracted from the earth and the mother earth. So when they say we are the salt of the earth, it's actually true, because we are literally the salt of the earth. When you consider salt, you would never really look at salt and from either the lake, the river, or the sea that it comes from, and say that, oh, this salt looks like the sea or the river. Just as everything the salt is credited to the waters that it is coming from. It's the same thing that this bond between every living creature on the face of the earth is credited to the Mother Earth, because when the Mother Earth decides to pull away or extract everything that she has given to this body, or the life force that is on the planet of the earth, then you would understand that man literally, or creation, or everything that exists on the earth literally has nothing to offer. So whenever you talk about myself, who you are really referring to is not necessarily this body, but the mind self is talking about the spirit that exists in this body. The spirit that exists in this body, that is you, the real me, and this body has a very intimate relationship. There's a very intimate relationship that in turn becomes very inseparable. Because you cannot separate. Whilst you are in this dimension, you cannot separate this relationship between yourself and the suit or the manifestation of yourself, which is this physical form that we walk by or we walk around with. So this relationship is so strange, because inasmuch as the two are independent from each other, at the same time they are very dependent on each other. And because of that reason, a lot of things that is done in this physical form is being equated to what the spirit form is supposed to do, or your real self is supposed to do. But these two though they depend on each other, don't affect each other in that regard, because your flesh would always be the flesh and function according to the cyclical patterns of this dimension, this planet, because everything the flesh has is extracted from the dimension. But when it comes to your spirit does not necessarily evolve of how or have its existence around this cyclical spin of this dimension or of this planet, because your spirit do not necessarily have any intimacy with the mother earth, but your flesh as it is have a very inseparable relationship with the mother earth. So one thing that I've always wondered growing up, with regards to spirituality, is what I'm talking about today, the menstrual cycle or the menstrual system of our women. I think, and this is me, I think without a doubt that most spiritual leaders have got it wrong. And how they got it wrong, I can't explain it. How they came to this conclusion that your menstrual cycle has a direct influence over your spiritual life really baffles me. And I know that the thing would be that this is what we've done all our life. This is what we came to meet. This is what our fathers did. That is why I said it from the beginning. We need to learn to separate spirituality from tradition, because oftentimes when we marry these two together, we find ourselves straying away from what spirituality is all about, and we tend making spirituality something that is very very, how do I say this, very traditional, and hence becomes a religion. So religion is oftentimes carved out of tradition, not necessarily even spirituality. So this thing really baffles me, and I've always thought about it, and people that have been following me for years have always known that I never really have anything wrong or against a woman having their menstrual cycle. But it's like we came to meet this thing, so that is what we all have to do. And at a certain point, I've been guilty about it in my growing process, because we came to meet certain things that wasn't done spiritually. So therefore, when we are partaking these spiritual protocols, we look at it like, you know what, this is what we know, and this is what we must do. So in as much as we cannot really explain why we cannot do what we know, we don't have any explanation to it. What am I saying? The fact that your menstrual cycle as a woman is attached to yourself doesn't make it spiritual. As a matter of fact, there's nothing spiritual about your menstrual cycle. Everything that is happening in your menstrual cycle is happening physiologically and not spiritually. So people oftentimes tend to make what is happening physiologically in your body to become a spiritual thing. Your spirit does not menstruate. Your spirit does not go through the menstrual cycle. Like I explained earlier, your spirit is not bound to the rhythm of this planet. Your spirit came from beyond, so your spirit operates on another timeline, not necessarily this timeline. So because the spirit cannot menstruate, that is why spirituality has nothing to do with menstruation. And I know the Creator never said anywhere that anybody should make spirituality about menstruation, or should make menstruation. The Creator never said any law like that. What men have done over the period of time is traditional ways that has been incorporated with spirituality. So our ancestors and our spiritual leaders set these rules as in what a woman can do and what a woman cannot do during the menstrual cycle. And when this happened, all of us followed by these laws, followed by these rules. And so therefore it became a tradition that when a woman is in her cycle, he or she cannot do this. But what spiritual protocol that this physiological thing is breaking is something that nobody has really explained, and there's no explanation to it, because in the realms of the spirit, your menstruation is not actually impeding your spirituality or being a hindrance to your spirituality. So this physiological issue that is happening, that oftentimes reflect in the psychological makeup of certain women, or in some cases a lot of women, is what is being deemed as a negative thing and a very unspiritual thing. And in that sense, I agree, because it actually has nothing to do with spirituality when it comes to this physiological effect. And we also must understand that your spirit would never menstruate, and this would never happen in your spirit. So whilst your physical is going through this change, your spirit has no business with that. Your spirit is, as a matter of fact, not involved at all. As to the question of whether women should be allowed, or whether women are allowed in the temples or out of temples with regards to spiritual or with regards to spirituality, is something that we got to really break it down and understand where all this is coming from. So let's take a trip to about 1,000 years ago, or 800. I don't want to go far, so let's make it a time. Let me not even go far. Let's do it like a 500 or even 200 years ago, or even just 100 years ago. When we look around this, the question we should ask ourselves is that what sanitary kit or what sanitary system did our mothers have or our ancestors have during those days? What were the precautions that they could take? What was their knowledge even about it? Yes, they did know about it, but how deep was the knowledge about this physical thing that was happening in the bodies of our mothers? I mean, can you literally take a trip back to 1,000 years old, or 500 years old, or 200 years ago? What do you think our mothers had available to them? Compare this to the modern day woman who can even swim when she is in her cycle, and nobody would even know it. We must not forget the workload of our mothers back then. So we're still going back to that picture. We must not forget the workload, because daily our mothers had to cook for at least about 20 people every single day in the house. She had to go to the farm or to the market or take care of the house. Well, 200 years ago, most women were not the modern day woman. So most women, or 500 years ago, most of these women were basically the ones in charge of the home and in charge of everybody else, taking care of everybody else. So see the workload that was on the mother that was going through these changes. So the elders in those days decided, you know what, when the woman is going through this period, we think it's only right that it is her time to sit back, to relax, and to be taken care of for about 3 to 5 or at most 7 days of the month. Let this woman at least have some rest from all this heavy duty stuff that she's been doing, and let her take a back seat this time around and allow those that were around her take care of her. Because don't forget, right after this rest period or the break period, the woman goes straight back into all the workload. Everything was on the woman. The men were practically not doing anything. So therefore, this system became something that, okay, they understood. Every time the woman is going through that period, that was the break for the woman. So it is during this period that finally the woman got the opportunity to really sit back, relax, meditate, pray, be in tune with her spirituality, be in tune with herself. Take time to reflect her life. Take a chill pill and just settle in and just relax and meditate upon everything that she's been going through the entire month. Rest her muscles a bit. Rest her body a bit. Let her body enjoy rest. I mean, I'm going to say something that I don't even know if I'm allowed to say on YouTube, but we have some men that basically they never stop. Morning, afternoon, evening, night, midnight, they never stop. So the only time on top of all the workload that the woman had to go through, so the only time the woman really had to sit back and rest was when she was going through that. At least, if not anything at all, the man can see that, oh, there's a situation happening here, and because of that situation, I don't think it's conducive enough for me to go there. So this practice went on and on and on over time, and then it became traditional. Then certain taboos were attached to it. Then this became a system, a pattern that was practiced for many years. After that, hence the reason why this whole system crept in to spirituality. I mean, think about it. How can anybody outsmart the Creator? Because the Creator knew that without a doubt, the woman needs to have a time to rest. We all know women are stronger than men. Why do you think the Creator made it so that women can absorb all the pain and everything, every single thing that women go through daily? So that men can go ahead and be men. That is why the story came as the woman is supposed to be a helpmeet. Well, a helpmeet is not supposed to take over the job. A helpmeet is supposed to help. So once every 3, 4, 5 days or 7 days, the woman gets her break finally. See how beautiful that is. The Creator said, during this time, rest, my queen. Rest. Take a rest. Relax. Don't do much. Just relax. Tell the man not to pounce on you. Just relax. Meditate. Pray to me. Talk to me. You've been so busy. Everybody else is taking your attention. It's time for you to talk to me, girl. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. What have you been up to? What have you been doing? What are the things that you've been going through? So the Creator in his intelligence, you see, how do you beat such a Creator who thinks way ahead before the event even takes place? And that is the beauty of the cyclical moment for the woman, which I believe every man jealous, because men wish they were the one going through that. Because you get to have a break. And it's the reason why it became another tradition that men go ahead and marry multiple wives, because if they are going through these situations and their wives are not available, they are in their rest season, then at least the woman, if the man cannot control himself, the man can go other ways. But there are other factors as to why the man marries a lot of women, but we'll get to that some other topic. So this is basically the thing that is seen as impure, imperfect, a curse, sort of certain people, a taboo, sort of, that when the mother, when the woman, when this amazing woman that have gone through all her hard work is resting, was labeled as impure, imperfect. The Creator never intended for that to be impure. The Creator never intended for that to be imperfect. The Creator created room, made provision for the woman to have a time for herself, a me time, so that she don't break down, so that she doesn't fall into anxiety, she doesn't fall into depression, so that she doesn't. Listen, if some men should have the chance, they would never break. She's not a machine. Yes, she's a biological machine, but she's not a metallic machine. This one secret that most people don't know about women when they are going through their cycles. As a matter of fact, there are two parts, or there are 2 points, or there are 2 sessions or periods in a woman's life every month, cyclical, that the woman gets her channel opened more than any other day. Do you want me to rewind that? When the woman is going through her cyclical period, her channels to the spiritual dimensions are opened more than any other period. The second period is also the ovulation period. One is a period for receiving, another is a period for renewal. Oh, have you ever wondered why whenever you go through your menses, deep within you, you don't feel dirty. Deep within you, you don't feel like when the whole thing is happening, it feels within you like it's a cleansing period. It's a period that you are being renewed. The energies in you, it's like the old energy in the woman is shedding off and the new energy is coming up. So some women, when they are going through this, and they become weak, hence the psychological effect of this physiological situation. So the women go through a lot of changes. Why? Because their channels are opening up. What do I mean by it's a period of receiving? It's a period of receiving because during the ovulation, the womb of the mother is prepared to receive a seed from the man. So everything about the woman is opened up during this period, and the woman is at the receive. So spiritually, just as physically, she is opening up. Her spirit self needs to work with her physical self. So as her physical self is opening up for receiving, her spiritual self is also opened up to receive a lot of things. And this happened during ovulation period. Have you ever heard anybody say this? So the most spiritual, and try it, please try it if you're a woman. When you're going through your ovulation period, try praying about certain things that you are desiring for. I wasn't supposed to say that. This is supposed to be a secret. This is supposed to be in my locket so that I can teach my people in the Zoom community. Another period is that what? Another period is the menstruation period, the menstrual period. Why? Because it's a period of renewal. It's a period of new beginning. So during that period, this is the right time to pray certain prayers like I change, prayer of change, prayer of change. When you want to see a new thing, when you want to see a new something happen in your life, it's a period where you literally have the advantage of. And these are the two amazing. You think the Creator would create the woman and allow the woman to go through all this thing that she's going through and not add a blessing to it? So this thing that is being evil and this thing that is actually being spoken against and deemed filthy and dirty and impure is actually a blessing in disguise. But they create deep things are hidden in secret places. It only takes those who are prepared to go deeper for them to understand, for them to receive that which is sitting and waiting in the deep, for those who are willing to explore. So these are two spiritual superpower moments that the woman gets. That is why naturally women live longer than men. That is why naturally women are stronger than men. Because the Creator made the woman a special piece. The two of it, between a man and a woman, who the Creator really made perfect and took time in creating, is the mother, it's the woman. Why do you think anytime the menstrual cycle fails, then it raises alarm? How is something bad, how is something horrible raising alarm, setting everybody on emergency? How is this possible? Well, it is possible because it's the most precious moment of a woman's life. So when the cycle fails, or when your menses don't come, every woman is late, even including the men. The men be like, wait, you missed me. And sometimes when you approach it, you missed your period. What did you do? And that's the insane thing, as if they forget when they are in the process of doing what they are doing. But when the woman misses you missed your period, what happened? The Holy Spirit came down. That's what happened. No, but I'm being honest though. Why do you think it's either a baby is conceived or there's something wrong with your health? That is why you get, how is something impure gets you worried? Have you ever thought about it? You become worried because something is going wrong with you. So how is something impure, not proper, not right, gets you worried? When it is going wrong, that is when it actually becomes bad, right? So it means when it's flowing, that is when you are in your blessed state. Don't play with it. The reason why, and I get to say this, a woman's menstrual blood is demanded a lot in the occultic realm. You can ask any occultic, and in the bloodthirsty dimension, or even in witchcraft. And the reason why your blood is so important is because it's pure. Are you understanding it? When your blood is coming out, it's not just blood. It's blood mixed with life. It's blood mixed with life. And that life is coming out. That is why some people go through the refuse dumps and what have you to gather your menstrual parts and use for certain spiritual things. Why is something so impure being used by certain spiritual people? Are you getting it? The most expensive currency in the realms of the spirit is blood. When blood is not given willingly, it becomes corrupted. But in the menstrual cycle, the blood is being given out willingly and with love, because the woman cannot wait for everything to come up. So because that blood is being given out willingly, whatever they use for spiritually would work. There are certain things that I must not say on YouTube. Women don't know how blessed you are. Please remind me on Sunday during our Zoom meeting, and I will teach you something you can use your blood for. It will blow your mind. So over a period of time, some people decided to make this a discriminatory thing. They decided to start discriminating against the women, and because when the woman was sitting in the temple, in the public places, and they didn't have any sanitary kits to take care of the woman, they decided that no, we cannot. So people started protesting and calling it unclean. You are not clean. You are not this. You are not. See how the blood. I mean, if you don't take your bath for 3 days, what do you think would happen? You think everybody would happily sit around you? No. So when other men saw that these bloods were coming out, they became uncomfortable. Just like a lot of men cannot stand blood, or cannot even stand birth, cannot stand the blood. So some men would literally faint when they see blood. A lot of men cannot actually stand blood. So they started discriminating against this thing. And all of us already have told you this has nothing to do with spirituality. So obviously they were not discriminating because it has spiritual implications, but because they couldn't stand it. And some of the women, when it also happened, they were embarrassed by it. So therefore, this became a period where the woman is discriminated against and said to sit back. How is something so impure becomes something that gets celebrated and gets initiated, and the whole feast is done when the woman finally gets into that place. Watch this video. This is a video of people, young women, young ladies being celebrated because they just had their menses. Watch this.
How to be a girl. Being a girl is not easy. Become a woman too is not easy. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's fantastic.
When a girl begins her period, it's something to celebrate in the tradition. When a girl announces it or the mother knows that she started it, it is a cause for celebration, because nothing is prized more than life here. I mean, you know, the importance of reproducing, of having children is just, you know, astronomical.
When you are in an age like 17, 16, we have some rights to move you from childhood to adulthood.
Ke esujeha kan ge lowe babo mi pe keke bi ne asudi pusani afoli keme baba ne ka keme ba akeme ba ble chose no
each walk kusini anyani imela imu ju come so ni ikeme ya teno ikeme ya pa lo se wa kusini wa pio bele pe anaji come ape kloyi
acha mi maunge koko iye jihan 13 years school iye wa ka waya ajwa hiye wa he alamwa enyo wa hezo akama pe kwada hawo mama he mwe ama he klala ama he no fenoko la kama bape wa ngenya kaya samdipo ne wa na aba mana bape
wake chosio me bene ama hie nimle anu bene aka nimle ma hisi bene ama tumunyu bene ama ake ahunoi lo anichule nge bene aka me ma hisi ne ama somo me anwo blonya no ne wake chosio me wake ngoni no ka fon adwemi.
We do it knowing that it's a ritual that carries symbolic significance because it's part of our heritage, part of our tradition, and it's a symbolic ceremony in which we participate to say, I'm part of this community.
loko oba wa mamu so wa mamu nsoni ne wa ka me mai ate no ka be nye ba penya hie do pe no ko be.
There is a flat stone which the girls are made to sit on, and it's strongly connected with notions of the girl's fertility. And it's said that at this point, if a girl is pregnant, the deity will expose her.
When you sit on the rock, you have to sit on the rock 7 times. And if you sit on the rock and you're stuck on the rock, that means you are not a virgin. So if you sit on the rock and you can stand up, that means you are fully a virgin.
Menstruation is the marker that shows that a girl is ready for depot. I don't know when it began, this putting very young girls through it, but traditionally, I don't think a girl would be put through depot until her period began. That was the sign.
People go through that ritual too young, and it's never good, because if you send your child like at the age of 5 years, you mean that girl is going to get married after that ritual, and it's not good crap. It's not good.
Depot is quite an expense for a family. What tends to happen is that they will get as many girls within the extended family as possible to go through it at once so that they don't have to perform it several times. Traditionally, the consequences of a girl losing her virginity before depot were quite grave. Her family would have to pay for the cleansing of the shrine and so forth because she would be seen to have defiled it. So if you put a girl who hasn't even reached puberty through depot, you're not running as high a risk that she might secretly have lost her virginity or be concealing a pregnancy. The depot trains a young girl who has gone through puberty for her duties as a woman. And it says, okay, everybody come and celebrate that she has graduated, as it were. She's graduated from her training, and she's also graduated from girlhood to womanhood. The girl is then adorned to show that she's nubile, that she is ready for marriage. And the family brings out its wealth in beads and in cloth and in jewelry to adorn her at that time.
Wear a lot of beads for me, my waist, my hands, my legs.
And the girl is so celebrated. If there's any time a girl's going to feel like a princess, it's during her depot.
Kaka no e boa joy bio he. E boa joy bio. Proyone e tele e boa joy. Ya loko ke ne memba bo na hie de na wa mwe ha e kan ba pe mi.
What I think is special about depot is that it is one of the most intact puberty rites of passage to have survived in Ghana. And I think that's a historical treasure, actually. It's a reminder of you know, our history and where we come from.
I was really, really happy. I feel like I'm like a princess. I am very, very happy, and I feel like a very proud young woman.
Well, is that not beautiful? No, and be honest with me. Is that not beautiful? Before anybody come at me and say that, you know what, we don't think what you're saying is right, this is wrong, this is impure. How can you make this impure thing sound so pure and so beautiful? I've got a single question for whoever would come and oppose this. My question is, where would you have been without the menstrual cycle? You are on the face of this earth because of menstrual cycle. You were born into this dimension. You exist in this dimension because of menstrual cycle. If it wasn't for menstrual cycle, where would you have been? So that which allowed you to come into this dimension is that which you are calling impure. Then I guess it is true what they say in the scripture. All men were conceived in sin. Then you are impure. Your sons are impure. Your daughters are impure. Your fathers are impure. But there's no single person that had come on the face of this dimension without going through that thing you are calling impure. That is one of the most holiest things ever to drop on the face of this dimension. That is why in spirituality, when the blood of a woman that is having a menses dropped a place, it became a taboo because it is so pure that if you don't answer for the blood that are dropped in the place, it causes danger. Because people couldn't answer for such a pure thing, a pure life. A life for a life. So therefore, it has to be protected. So it all started as a protection for the woman when she's going through that period that, listen, we got to protect her and make sure she's not exposed. Nobody sees that this is happening with her. So it's something that was as a result of protecting the woman that all of a sudden is being discriminated against and it's become an impure thing. So the separation wasn't a question of whether something is pure or impure. The separation was basically because of a practical reasoning saying that the woman is supposed to be protected during this period. That is why our fathers separated the women, not because they are impure, but simply because they need to be protected. And this is something that the world at large is failing in our generation. Because if not anything at all, the world should rather be giving holidays for every woman that is going through this period. The world should appreciate the woman for going through that period. The world should applaud the woman for going through that period. Because when a woman stops going through that period, it means the world will not reproduce. There will not be a next generation coming after the man. The end of man will be near. So if not anything at all, women should be given holidays every time they go through their menstrual cycles. Because they are preparing their womb to receive into this dimension another beautiful seed. And the only thing is that if this law should some way, somehow, someday be passed in our generation, in our lifetime, or even after our lifetime, please, women, don't take advantage of it. But I know how women play. Listen, don't play with women. Even sometimes when they don't want to be in a situation with their husbands, they say it's flowing. Some men are stubborn, so the woman will literally put a sanitary pad somewhere and make it look bloody, just to stay away from the men. So you'll be surprised. Some women will be having their menses 3 times a month because they want to stay away from work. But honestly, truth be told, it should be applauded and it should be appreciated than anything else. So somebody would ask, if this is a beautiful thing, then why do we got to go through so much pain? I know somebody will ask the question. So you have to understand that the creative force and divine being, the creator, has invested a great deal in the woman here. The creator has entrusted the sustenance of this planet in the hands of the woman. What does it mean? Meaning the creator knows very well, without the woman, the planet is done. So the creator has created a system in the woman that naturally continues the race of man. Naturally. So the reason why there's so much pain and discomfort and all of that is that the woman at a certain period in her life automatically activates her reproductive system. She automatically activates her reproductive system. And when this system is activated, the body is indirectly telling the woman, I'm ready to conceive. And this starts from 16, 17, 18. So the body will keep reminding you, I'm ready to conceive, I'm ready to conceive, I'm ready to conceive. What happened is that because in the modern world, a lot of women are not conceiving before they are 20 and 21. And mind you, that is the best time to conceive. I know the world set the age to be 18, but the truth of the matter is from 16 all the way up to 21, if the woman hasn't conceived by that time, the body now begins to get agitated because the body feels like it is not doing. Or let me even break it down. The reproductive cycle, it feels like it is failing its creator because it was created. The alarm bell comes up whenever the woman turns 16. When the alarm bells comes up, the woman is supposed to receive a seed and start giving birth. So naturally, by 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, the woman is done giving birth. This is the natural order of things. When the woman is done giving birth, the woman can now, still has enough time and can now go ahead. Can now go ahead to enjoy her life. From 25, 26, 27, the woman is now starting her life because she's done with giving birth to her children. That is why the womb or the stomach or the belly of the woman is flattened out. If you're a woman, by the time you get to 15, 16, 17, your tummy is big. It's because you wanted it. Because naturally, the Creator created it in such a way that it will stay flat. So that when you give birth, it can still contract. By the time you're 25, your stomach is still flat. That is why we have a lot of mothers, anyway, in our time. We had a lot of mothers that still had flat tummies. Even after giving birth to 6, 7 children, they still have flat tummies. Their breasts were still standing. Well, not really standing, but at least it wasn't falling flat. But it is not so in our case. Why is that? Because when the cyclical movement keeps alarming, you don't do anything, it begins to, number one, turn against you. And that is why the frustrations and the pain starts coming in. Yes, some people 16, 17 still feel pain, but it's only happening in recent times, right? Because even in recent times, people as young as 9 years old have their menses. Do you know why? It's all in the food that we are eating. It's in the medications that we are injecting in our system. It's in the things that we are taking into our body. You see, because this is such a great responsibility, the Creator ensured that there are certain things that the women got to take into them that would maintain the system. Once you go off the Creator's plan and you begin to go according to the plan of man, now the system in you begins to turn against you. That is why you feel that pain. So the menstrual pain that you go to, first and foremost, psychologically, is preparing you for the birth process that you're going through. You understand? Because listen, the Creator is amazing. It's beautiful. The Creator decided that by 17, 18, 19, you've given birth. And at that time, then the pain comes, because the pain is supposed to prepare you into childbirth. So that when you are pushing out, at least you have something to fall upon, something to make an example out of. So this was not supposed to be that horrible situation that women go through certain times. That is why there are certain foods that when you eat, there are certain seeds that when you take into your system, naturally it takes away every pain. You would never suffer any pain. Right? So when you decide not to heed to the reproductive cycle of the Creator and you become ambitious, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but when you begin to follow your ambition, then you should be prepared that this thing is going to turn on me. So I need to put in place measures that would help me balance the energies within your reproductive cycle, because that is a whole life force. Women, you have a whole life force sitting in you. Oh, if I say I'm going to go on this subject, it's going to take me the whole time. Listen. The Creator created three things. First, for you to understand this reproductive cycle. Two, for you to maintain this reproductive cycle. And three, for you to benefit from this reproductive cycle. There's a whole life force sitting in you. And this life force gets activated twice every month. Your ovulation, your menstruation. That's why these two periods becomes very potent for women to pray. I should charge you for giving you this information. But you remember I told you to remind me something Sunday when we come. I'll teach you what some of the things you can do during this period. You cannot be smarter than the Creator. He understands all things. He knows all things. He made all things. It's time for you to heed and appreciate what you have as a woman and understand it. And when you understand it, you maintain it. Some people decided not to allow another race reproduce. So they injected things into the mothers and into the... Listen, these things that they put into the system of our women is so poisonous, so deadly that it doesn't only affect the women that are pregnant, or doesn't only affect the children that gets these things into their system, but goes ahead to affect them when they grow, when they give birth, they transmit it to their children. That is why there is fibroid in every woman. Fibroid is not a natural thing. It was planted by certain people because they didn't want certain people to populate. When you begin to understand who you are as a woman, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's why I say don't joke with a wailing woman, a wailing mother. I hope this has been a blessing to you. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to share it amongst our people. Let's grow. You see, I can't wait for it to start coming live on YouTube. So let's grow. Spirituality is beautiful. You just got to understand it. and stay away from tradition. Have a great evening, amazing family.